Well, first of all, my name is Magda. Thank you so much for being here. And today we have the wonderful Anthony with us. He has been working in the company for around 5 years, and the last 3 years he has been working in Belgium, where the beautiful team is always working, doing beautiful retreats, supporting people in their processes, like really beautiful. I always hear wonderful things from Belgium. And actually, one of my friends is always, "Oh, you have to come to Belgium. You have to come to Belgium." So I'm like, okay, let's see when that happens. But Anthony, just a beautiful soul. He shares from his soul. And when we were talking before, he was showing me his beautiful house right now. And I was like, wow, you have to share this with the people because it's just beautiful, everything. Yes, exactly. It's like a dream in nature. So I'm really, really happy that he's here right now and just with our topic that is just wonderful. I want to see how it comes from Iris' class until yours here and how you share your wisdom. So I'm really, really happy to be here. I'm really honored to be supporting you right now. And yes, so welcome, Anthony. You can start right now.
Thank you very
Beautiful
much.
people, Anthony with you.
Thank you very much, Magda, and thank you a lot, everybody, for joining tonight. I'm transmitting from my house in the Pyrenees. So I said Magda. I live in a very beautiful place in the middle of the mountain. And yes, this is like my dream. It has always been my dream to live in such a place. And more than live in this place, to live with my wife, with my soon 1-year-old baby, and and to live in this intimacy here, the three of us. And then every month I travel also a bit everywhere in Belgium, but not only, also in Switzerland, in Norway, in Finland, in Spain sometimes. And it's just beautiful to be able to share this intimacy with other people who are also looking for something, no? And as I shared before with Magda, this place and everything that I'm living here in this moment was for me totally impossible. Um, I had it in my mind like a perfect dream, a perfect picture of what I wanted to live, but it was never happening in my life. I was deeply, deeply unsatisfied about that. Um, and at some point, when I could observe everything going on in me in that moment, a shift happened in my life. In the moment, I could realize that this objective, this dream I was pursuing, uh, could not be concretized. And this has been very confronting for me. It has been like a moment in which I had to abandon this idea that I had, because I realized that this perfect dream image that I was having was coming from an idea that I had received from my parents, from the place where I lived. I had already the perfect picture of what happiness is. And somehow the fact of having this idea was precisely what wasn't allowing me to be able to live that independently from the place, independently from the moment. I was keep pursuing this goal, this objective. And paradoxically, it's when I abandoned this objective, when I said, that's it. I'm never gonna have the perfect family. I'm not never gonna have the perfect house. And in that moment, some very unexpected things started to happen. And I've been traveling in many, many countries. As I was telling Magda before, I've been traveling in Mexico, in Spain. I've been living many years in many different places. And at each step, this idea of the perfect way of living was vanishing little by little. And I was confronted with the reality I was in that moment. And until I could totally accept what was happening in this moment in my life, then I could little by little observe how this deep feeling of mine was trying to realize itself little by little. In a totally unexpected way, I met my wife in Barcelona. In a totally unexpected way, we moved together to Belgium and then to Spain, and then we ended up here. But there was absolutely no way I could plan for it. It's something that happened in the most natural way. And basically, what I want to share with you guys is this is the possibility of living from this internal place and little by little to stop living by the objective that we're pursuing without being able to achieve them. It's like a constant search, a constant search, a constant search. And at um, at some points in life, conditions are created in which we don't have anywhere to go. After I've had the house, the car, the dog, all of the money in the world, is like at some point we can get to the point in which I can say there's nothing else I can do. There is always more, but this will never fulfill me the way I really deep down wish for it. And this can be very confronting in the process of realizing that there's no end to this search. Because while I'm in this search, I will still always be in movement and don't allow myself to be totally still and just receive everything that life has for me in this moment, no matter the way in which it will present itself. So, um, this premise that we are presenting tonight, which is don't set yourself any goals, is part of a global method that we're sharing in our events and everything that we do basically. And the most confronting about this method, at least what deeply moved within me, is that it's not a method to apply word per word. Because, for instance, if I apply the fact of don't having any objective, it becomes an objective of its own. And this is the most confronting about everything that we're sharing, and we have specialized into this art of creating all of the conditions for the mind to be left into a checkmate, into a place in which it cannot do anything anymore, it cannot go anywhere anymore. And in that moment, the mind is confronted to the hard reality of receiving, of being able to stand still, not to do anything, and just receive what we really want, but that we could not receive before because there was this constant movement inside. So it's like a strategy of life itself when we are open for it deeply, to let ourselves be cornered into this little place in which I have no other choice but to surrender, because the mind will always want more more consciousness, more comprehensions. I have many people that come to our retreats every month and that I want to comprehend what's happening to them, that want to heal, that want to be more conscious. And in the retreats, I can witness every time something really happened important is when the person says, okay, that's it. I don't understand anything of what's happening to me. I try to be more conscious, but more thoughts are coming, more mind. And basically, maybe I can consider the possibility of just enjoying the people that are around me, enjoying what's going on right here, right now. Because in a way, when I'm pursuing this goal, I'm totally disconnecting of what's happening in this present moment. I cannot see, I cannot listen anything. The only thing that I can listen maybe is this deep, deep insatisfaction that is deeply, deeply rooted, this deep imperfection that is always striving for more knowledge, more more visions, for instance, with the medicine, more effect, more, and that cannot be fulfilled with anything. So it's a miracle, really, when at some point we can just take a break and look around what's really happening in our life. And yesterday I was having a meet with some people that have joined our last retreat, and I was really, really glad to listen to them and to receive the fact that what's real in our life doesn't manifest with big events or with big facts, big situations generally. It always happen in the most subtle ways, in the everyday life, little things. Maybe the fact of noticing that when you start interacting with the person that sells the bread or in the supermarket, uh, when we start to relax, to receive, naturally we can have this connection, feel this connection, or enter in contact maybe more deeply with some people, maybe share in a more spontaneous way, not especially like a robot, or but to enter into this more natural way of living. And it's a possibility that many people are discovering, not only people who have come to our retreat, but I'm seeing that this is happening in many people around me, in my neighbors that I spoke to just a few minutes ago, that they are going in a hard process in their couples. They're starting to realize deep things about what's happening within their relationship, in their lives. And by just allowing to listen, to let it in, we can see that this is happening in many people around us. And in the retreat that we create, that we organize every month, let's say that this feeling is very more easy to connect with, because the whole space is there to accompany us to this point in which we can have an authentic encounter with the others, not from an idea wanting to present ourselves in a certain way, but just a deep encounter. And if just for one instant I can have this experience in my life, even if it's during a retreat, sooner or later, it's something that will take more and more and more space in my life, little by little. This is why it's a process that requires a lot of patience. And this is very hard, I would say even impossible, to understand for the mind, because the mind wants to get to a point and wants it now. He cannot wait. And if it doesn't happen now, many things unravel from that. Frustration, demand, expectations, and all of this is only slowing down a process that wants to happen in the most natural way. And this is why in the retreat you will never hear a facilitator um, tell you that you should heal that, or that you should open up to love, that you should love to yourself, because we know that the mind is always here listening, and from what is listening is going to be the next objective. Okay, I saw that I was closed. So now I'm gonna open up. And what we're doing is adding more and more and more and more exigence. Maybe before there were some objective that had to do with my everyday life, but now there are more spiritual objective, let's say. No, I have to open up to be more conscious, to be more in the observation. All of this are comments that are totally disconnecting me from what's happening in me in this very moment. A lot of people have the objective of not wanting to get angry or not wanting to activate in front of a situation. And it's beautiful when we can go into this deep subject without adding demand, or no, just to be able to recognize the perfection of what's happening in this moment. Because the objective, the demands, uh, always are based on an idea of imperfection, of in this moment things are not how they should be. So I'm gonna project this representation, idealist often in the future, of how things will be beautiful and how I will be happy. And we can wait many years like this, and people wait many years. I've waited many years waiting for this holy miracle to happen, no? And let's say that the the realization that the realization of this impossibility inside of me, there can open the possibility in this moment, not tomorrow, not in a year, not in next life, but that really deep down of my heart, I want to live fully in this moment, no matter the situation in which I am, no matter if my mother or my um, couple is in my relationship, I have problem. I want to enjoy fully in this moment with all of that. And it's very confronting, this possibility, because it's acceding to a totally new space. Because when I don't have an objective anymore, it's like I don't know what to do anymore. I don't have anywhere to go. I don't have plans anymore. It's like being totally lost, totally vulnerable, and a lot of uncertainty. And maybe it's in these conditions that trust can arise. Let's say that when we trust truly, we don't need any objective, any goals. We need goals when there's no trust, because I need to know where I'm going. I need to know what's going to happen. Maybe just to have a relief of what's happening in this moment in my life and that I cannot handle. And and it can seem very complicated to um, to trust again. It can seem very impossible to live my life without knowing what's going to happen in the next step, where I will travel, what person will I meet, and to be able to receive each of these situations from a total innocence. uh, for the mind, is totally impossible to conceive that, because the mind has a particularly a penetrating energy. He wants to do, he wants, it's like a system perfectly designed to intercept every situation that happens in order to put it in a box and handle it, manage it the way it can. And being in a space in which we can allow ourselves to not know what's going to happen, it's deeply confronting. But here, there lies the possibility of connecting with this trust. And it's a whole art to create situations in which we don't know what's going to happen. And in several of our events, we accompany the processes with plant medicines that come from the nature. And they are the perfect way to confront us with this reality, you know, because they are not working in an automatic way. Okay, I take this, so I have this. No, they tell you, are you able to open up to something different, to something new? And very often in these experiences, and it's something that we experience a lot, that I have experienced a lot, we never experience at the moment what we really want, what we're looking for. But always, always, always the situation that arises from this experience is something that deeply we need, but we could not see before because we were set up in the goal. And in many of our events, people are waiting for this moment, no? For this moment in which you can say, that's it, now I can relax, no? And they are looking for it maybe in the ayahuasca session, maybe in the next medicine, and nothing is coming because there is still this idea of wanting to get there, again and again, and the impossibility to simply receive. And for me, it collaborates me a lot in my own process, not to be able to create the conditions in which I can simply be here with very practical things in a world in a world in which everything is moving so fast. When I arrived here and I looked at all of the trees around me, standing still, I was deeply confronted because I was telling, okay, give me something. I want something. I want movement. I want I want something to happen. And the trees were just lying there, still. The birds the same. The bees and the flies the same. Everyone was totally quiet and in peace. And me, I was turning around in my little house, seeing what to do with myself, no? With myself or with this part of mine that could not settle down. And it's beautiful to be able to create encounters in which we can meet other human beings that are deeply connected with this stillness, with this trust, because it's a great, great, great inspiration. And all day long, I'm always, always in touch with people close to me, in which there is this bond, and that inspire me at every moment to connect with this. And this is why also we are creating these spaces, no? Not only to speak about a topic, about a premise, no, but to create a possibility to interact and to see how is it, what's happening in your life. Are you able to find this moments of stillness, or there's a constant search that doesn't allow you just to drink your hot coffee in the morning? And this is why I would love to listen to you guys also if you have any questions. If you want to share something that is happening maybe in this moment of your life, and that you would like to have more clarity or to go deeper into something, you can write them in the chat, in the question and answers part, and Magda could share them here so we can listen to them. And it's a very interesting topic, the one that we're approached tonight. I'm gonna try to read it again. Do not set out to achieve objective, because if you aim for your goals, you would be demanding, distracted, and it will take you out of yourself. And of course, when I received this topic to share about, of course, many, many objectives came with it. And it's part of this whole game, no? These premises are beautiful to touch us deeply, 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 and to let them enter while being attentive of how the mind will react reading them. We have 14 of them premises. And as I shared before, the first thing that came to me while reading this premise is, of course, the objective of not having objective. And then, of course, the we keep in the same, no? And this is a topic very interesting and also very confronting to see the limitations of words when it comes to share something real and authentic that could be happening to me. See? But at least it's important to have them to open up a space of reflection, of observation, and to see what could be moving inside of each one. See? So I don't know, Magda, if we have some questions or people who want to share.
So, okay, then I'm gonna come again. Because we have some time to share something, but if you wanna do it like questions, we can also do it like that. I think it's beautiful. I'm gonna copy the question and also read it so you can see it. So here, Philip, he asked, how do I navigate the situation where you aim not to have any expectation from life and you feel you are not on the way achieving that, but you also feel you still want something specific, for example, a child, a relationship, more time, which creates an impulse to steer toward that thing. What would you say to him?
My whole life, I remember from I was 16 when I set myself the goal of having a wife and a baby. And this was a beautiful objective because it allowed me to set myself in movement. The objectives are very, very useful because this is what initiate a search. It can be in my life. If we can have the idea that if I don't have any objective, well, I'm gonna lie in my sofa waiting for things to happen. No, the objective allow us to initiate a movement. The conflict can happen in the moment in which I hang on to this objective. Okay, I have it in my mind and I want it to happen this way. And then in this moment, I will be in this search that may never end. And the same in the spiritual environment, the objective of wanting to understand what's happening to me is very important because it's like an opening. Okay, I can see that things are happening to me. I don't understand it. Maybe it's too much. Maybe it's confusing me. I want to understand. I want to comprehend. And this little objective can lead you to do totally crazy things. For instance, go to a retreat and drink ayahuasca. And in this moment, maybe realize something deeper that was going on, but at that moment, you could not see. This is why the point, and we're not saying that the point is not to have any objective. The objective are divine. They are divine because it's a way of striving for more than what I already know and what I'm already used to. Maybe it will impulse me to do things that I would never do before, just to see that there's a possibility to go beyond what I already know. And the beauty of this process is not achieving this goal, is to realize that in this moment I'm going beyond myself. And I don't know how I'm doing it. I don't even know if it's me who is doing it, but it's happening. And if in this moment I can realize that, I can also maybe relax and then, yes, trust that it's already happening. The family, the money, it will come or not, I don't know. But I'm here open to it, no? And maybe even opening to the possibility of enjoying what's happening. Enjoying the fact that I was totally unsatisfied with my situation and I said, I'm gonna move. And sometimes, if not always, it can be very confronting because in this moment people around don't usually understand it. Because we are used to live in a certain way, interact in a certain way. So when I have an impulse from my heart, from my guts to go for it, the people say, okay, he's become crazy because I don't know how to interact with that person anymore. I don't know him anymore. And for us who are daring to go beyond ourselves, this can be very confronting, you know, to don't have the recognition or the love that we had before. And it's a moment in which we can discover maybe a true love, a true recognition that didn't depend on a certain way ahead of behaving, a certain way ahead of being, but simply for who I am, for what I am, no matter the way I act. So this impulse, again, it's very important. The search is very important. So the invitation would be allow yourself to search deeply, deeply, as deep as you can, and allow yourself to lose yourself also in this search totally. It's like following a little thing. At some point, you turn back and say, oops, where I am. What happened? No, I thought I was looking for this, but now I don't know where I am anymore. And only in this moment, everything can reach you. Everything can get to you.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. Like, for me, when you were sharing that, it was always about trust, like trusting me that I'm making the right decision to go where I want to go, but don't hold on to that.
Exactly.
And when I say that, it's interesting because the next question I wanted to do is like, I know I have to trust, but I don't trust. So how do I do it? Evelyn asked this question.
It's a beautiful, beautiful thing not to trust.
Not to
At
trust.
least at some point, as you said, Magda, there is one point in which I can see that if I keep trusting only myself, it will only get me to the same point. And there is a moment in which I can start to mistrust myself. Everything that myself or my mind is proposing to me, because I know how it's going to end up. And I don't want that anymore for me and for my life. At some point, I need to trust in somebody else. So this is why we say it's not something bad not to trust, because maybe in that moment, you have the possibility to trust. And there are a lot of people that also live from a trust, from a false trust, not trusting everybody, but in a way, everything continues the same in their life. Everything, until the moment you can really have this introspection. Really, am I trusting? Am I really going with the flow or no? Because in this moment, there's not even the necessity of speaking about trust. Trust finds you. It's like a moment in which it's like a big leap, no? So it's part of the process. If we cannot trust ourselves, the invitation is trust another. If you don't love yourself, the invitation is start by loving another, because sooner or later this will lead you to loving yourself and trusting yourself again.
That's really interesting from that point of view. Really interesting. Mm, I will also share a question. Isn't there an essential contradiction between accepting one's and ego's roles in understanding and accepting self and in setting and achieving goals? versus accepting and enjoying the journey? How do you go about satisfying both to achieve and the true inner peace?
This is a very interesting question, no?
Yeah.
Because when we get to this point, let's say that this point in which I trust and I really surrender to what I really want, there's no negotiation with the part that wants to achieve. While this part uh, is satisfied, there will be always more, always more, always more, always more. It's the definition of the mind, no? The satisfaction maybe is temporary. Maybe I got what I want, what I wanted, but then some things sooner or later appear again and appear again. Maybe the point is in the fact of connecting with this insatisfaction, because the insatisfaction of the mind is a door towards the plenitude of the being. The being doesn't need things or to achieve anything to be totally full, to be totally here. The being doesn't need to go anywhere, doesn't need to reach anything. It's like telling you all the time, eh, everything is here in this moment. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to look for? I'm here. Yes. So in my case, in my experience, let's say that I could connect with this in the moment. This goal of mine totally failed. For me at least, I had to get to this point in which there was no satisfaction anymore. I could not anymore continue. And then in this moment, it's a moment of plenitude, no? That goes beyond the feeling of satisfaction that is temporary.
But that's also really interesting because if this sense is always there, how can we get to our inner peace? Because, for example, you were saying this, talking this beautiful thing, and you have, for example, he asked, like, I'm a 62-year old, and I feel I have to set goals to achieve my inner peace of mind before I die. It's really hard for me just to be still. So,
Claro. Yes, yes, this is the point. This is
mm,
the point. And again, this is why we never say not to set any goals. Go into your goals deeply. If your soul really is longing to connect with something that it cannot put in a box, with something that has to do with it's totally unknown, sooner or later the conditions will be given. Sooner or later. Yes. And the only fact of making a first step, for instance, somebody that comes to a retreat, of course, everybody that comes to a retreat has goals, has expectations. If nobody had goals or expectation, if everybody was enlightened, nobody would come to a retreat. We create these retreats because we have these expectations, because we have problems that we want to solve. And once we get there, we can realize also and maybe discover a new way. Okay, I come from this. This is what brought me here until now. But now I'm realizing that something else is happening, something maybe that I cannot describe, something that is right here, right now. And let's say that the goals in a way are like the carrot, you know? And at these moments, very unexpected things can happen. Yes, but of course we never know how it's going to happen or when. And that is the most confronting part. See? So it's about integrating everything. It's about realizing the perfection of this goal of mine because it led me exactly in this moment and in this place. It achieved its purpose. Now I don't need it anymore because now I want to enter into a fluidity. I want to enter into something natural that doesn't need any goal. The goal has been perfect until now. It belongs to the past. When we are opening up to the future, truly, the goals disappear because everything becomes unexpected and can surprise us deeply in that moment.
That is like really interesting how you put it into words, and still for me it's like not completely clear. How do I let go of the fear? Like I have seen reading the questions again, and fear comes up a lot because it's the fear of uncertainty, not being able to afford a house, pay the bills and everything. Like how I interpret it is like, oh, I have these goals, these things, so I can leave. But it's not like that. Or is it like that?
Come again, the last part?
So I have these goals or things I have to achieve in order to get money or do something, then I'm safe. But I'm also scared like to let go of those things.
Claro, it's totally frightening.
Mm.
It's the deepest fear that can happen in this moment. And it's also important to remember that it's a process that is progressive. The more you can recognize that this safety of yours doesn't fulfill you, naturally, this is something that will let go of you. It's not something to be forced. Okay, now I have to enter into the unknown, into the mystery and let go of goals. No, my own being at some point will be so fed up of being in a little box in which everything is controlled that naturally this will happen in my life to start taking decision that yes, connect me with a lot of fear, but also connect me a lot with this feeling of being alive, and realize that this what I'm hanging on maybe is not allowing something way bigger to come in. But of course this I don't know. I only know what I can have, what I can possess. So as we said, it's a big leap of faith, a big leap of trust. And this is why also we are here now to inspire ourselves to trust and make this leap, or for this leap to happen in our life in the moment it happens. And one thing that each time I understand each time more is that it never happened in the moment I expect it or how I expect it.
Yeah, for me, that's also been similar. Like when I decide I want this thing, but I let go of the expectations, it always come like in a really magical way. But it's just always this kind of fear, like holding me back. Like I'm not ready, don't do it. And then it
Exactly.
blossoms. Yeah,
Let's
just
say that fear is like the last system of alarm, the last mechanism that has the mind in order for you not to make this leap. Is the perfect excuse. No, I'm afraid. Well, sometimes the willing to live is stronger than fear. And in that moment, not absolutely nothing can stop you.
yeah. Thank you for that. Yes, yes. Mm, Lawrence is asking something like, I would. He is very good with analogies. I would try something like that. It is in our natural spontaneous movement, we can look to be in motion. Like water doesn't move because it's like murky, but also water moves too fast that it can equally be destructive. Can you speak on your thoughts of this balance? Is something you wish to let go of? I'm
Can you
gonna
put it
share it
right?
with you so
Yes,
you
please.
can read it better because it's a really beautiful analogy. Like water, it can be like really fluid, it can go, but it can also destroy. Where is the balance here? How can we find it?
It's a beautiful goal to reach, to wanting to reach balance. I haven't achieved it yet. Uh, the point maybe is not to find for this balance, but to be able to relax in it's something totally unbalanced, unpredictable, like the water, no? Sometimes it comes in waves, sometimes it comes in totally flat and still, but at any moment the water decides, okay, now I want to be like this. No, the water is totally trusting, and at any moment anything can happen, at any moment. And again, this has to do with trust. Is like the core of anything, no? Because if I can trust, I won't be preoccupied anymore whether I'm still or whether I'm balanced or whether I'm destructive, but it is to be able to go in each one of these situations that can happen in my day-to-day life. Many people that take ayahuasca, for instance, have the idea that when they go back to their life that they cannot feel angry or sad or depressed or anymore because they are in a process, they have taken medicines, they have connected with something deeper. So when we go back into this reality and we face all of these waves that can happen in our lives, if I try to be totally in balance, things start to get even more complicated, no? But the whole point of it is like an invitation to enter into all of it truly. And maybe this part that will be judging or trying to do something will get each time more quieter and leave more space for what has to be expressed, where even if it's in the worst way possible. I'm thinking of moment situations um, in which there was the possibility to express to people in which I had trust or love in a totally um, uncontrolled way, because this what was I was what I was feeling in that moment. If at that moment I remind myself, no, I have to be still, I have to breathe. This is like boiling water that doesn't have the possibility to come out the way it has to come out, no? So again, this is why it's very important the conditions in which we are, because some conditions tend to contract us in a certain way, totally balanced, no? And other conditions allow everything that has to come out, to be seen, to be expressed, to be observed. Yes, and this is the beauty of these encounters that we create also in the retreats or every week, no? To connect with this authenticity.
Now that you were sharing that, that's something that came out to my mind was like a cat, for example. If a cat is scared, he's not like gonna be like, "Oh, breathe, just walk away."
Exactly.
He's gonna be, "I'm scared, just run away."
Exactly. If the cat had only one thought, he would have to go to the therapist, he would have to come to the innovation retreat, he would have to take ayahuasca. No, the cat is and that's it, you know?
Exactly.
Like the babies. I can see it every day with the baby. When she's frustrated, she's frustrated. When she's laughing like never. The baby is in permanent total state of unbalance. And she's totally fine with it from what I can see. No, and this is why she inspires me a lot, because us adults, we have learned a lot of things of how things are supposed to be, how I should be. So when I start having a feeling or a thought, automatically repression, guilt. This is I shouldn't feel that. I shouldn't feel that way. And all of this has been accumulating so many times. What if I could express that and people do not reject me? What if I can express myself the most authentically way and people are just here receiving me and loving me for being authentic? Because if there is trust, they know that it's not about them. It's something that's happening to me and I don't know how to do with it. And I'm very sorry that it's coming out this way, but that's what it is in this moment. Thank you for receiving it. My little baby is inspiring me a lot. I'm having a retreat every day, the whole year with my little baby. And now that she's starting to walk, the same. I would like that she stands in this place, not near the fireplace, not outside because it's the jungle. But no, she opens the door like this and she goes out without even me noticing. And for my mind that wants to control everything, this is crazy. This is crazy, you know? So it's about, of course, it's not about letting her in the forest by her own. No, but having this consciousness and this present and being to accompany without me being affected by my own repressions, my own fear, my own control, because this is not of hers, this is mine. And it's very beautiful to be able to take responsibility of it 100%.
For sure, it is like that, yes. Children are always my best teachers. Always. Um, Going to another question, Anna asked it, what is the difference between having faith or just being and believe in the process? And what do the steps to your goals and take the decisions are able to achieve your dreams? What do you would like to say to her? Because I think it's a really interesting question.
Between have faith and just be, and have
Mm.
belief in the process. Eh, Maybe they are one and only thing. No, trust, to be present. Uh, these are synonyms in a way. No, um, it's like saying, and some I heard it from somebody yesterday in the meeting. I don't know what's happening, but I know that I'm doing well. And this is to be in presence. I'm here. Many things can move around me, and I don't know necessarily what's happening. I have no idea, but I know I'm doing well. And a presence, the real present, can only happen when I not don't know what's happening. If I know exactly what's happening, how to react, very probably that I'm not present. I'm also in a role, no? So let's say that all of this has to do with the same energy. And maybe there was a second question, but I don't.
Yes, there's that is like really, really true. And I can see it in my life, in the life of the persons that I really love, and even in the organizations. We're like, we don't know what is happening, everything is
Exactly.
moving, but we trust we're in the right path. Like we cannot control everything, but it's like, okay, we're taking the right steps or what feels right for us, and then we go then that direction is just beautiful. That's true.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. And yes, and trust can lead us very, very far. Very, very far. And we never know when, but we're together, no? And it's beautiful to be able also to remember and to connect with this feeling
Mm.
that yes, it's an individual and personal process, and sometimes I can feel so alone with what's happening to me. But the moment I can take just a head out of what's happening to me and see that other people also are in this process, it connects instantly to this trust that I'm not alone in this.
For sure. So I send you a question in French because I do not speak French. So maybe you want to translate it and
Yes.
see.
Maybe the objective is not on the moment, but later. We have to let it come, but not think about it all of the time. Yes, there is some kinds of objective that doesn't have to do with the mind. There are some objective that don't have to do with the past. And this is why maybe I won't use the same word as objective, no, because also in the language there's a lot of ideas attached to the words and to their meanings. But yeah, it's true that there is a we can call it a dream, an aspiration, a longing that has to do with the being, that we can trust that sooner or later this is something that will happen in my life. Maybe in this moment I cannot see it, no, but this has to do with what we're speaking about, trust that it will happen, no. And it's different than an objective, because an objective can be also attached to a lot of obsession, no, of achieving it now, and it has to be now. No, there's something that may be coming from way deeper. And if it's something that is true and real and authentic within you, you don't have to speak about it. You don't have to think about it. Because it's something that can inhabit you and guide you each step. Again, without knowing how long or how or when, but this is guiding you.
Thank you for that last one. It just really synced in. I hope they also feel like that. It was like how you share it was just so beautiful. And it's coming now to the kids and children. Tom is asking, is there with children, where do you draw the line between responsibility and allow them to explore? Because when they get older, we cannot hold their hands.
Yes, this is a huge topic between me and my wife, actually. Because if it was for me, I would leave her go in the mountain or go do her life. And and let's say that the line and this limit doesn't have to do with the other, with the baby. And this is why it's a line that has to do with oneself, with a connection of what's happening to me, no? And it's drawing the line. I'm not drawing the line at any moment at my baby, no? But it's like being able to recognize my own limit. If I cannot recognize my own limit, I can set up of kind of boundaries of limit for my baby, but the baby will see that maybe won't be able to receive it really from trust and love, you know. So in a way, it's about having this, and it's something that happening to me all of the time. This observation. Okay, until which point? No, and it's a very complex topic and very deep. But at the end, it has to do with until which point do I allow it within myself to go here? Because there is, of course, common sense, no? And it's all the time finding this little point of encounter between being able to trust and also having this consciousness and this presence of what's happening around, no? So it's finding this point in between one side, the yes to everything, yes, go in the nature, go climb the stairs, and this other side is no to everything. That very often is driven by fear, no, by control. Do not. So it's complex, and for me, it's a constant exploration of in the everyday life of every moment. No, how do I feel when I say no? No, because in this moment it's no. And of course, it's very confronting because on the other side, the baby can react in many different ways. It can be frustrated, can be angry. And in this moment, to observe in myself, is there guilt for saying no? If no, in this moment, you cannot touch the computer. This is the boundary. And the most important is to be okay with oneself. If I say no with guilt, then I start myself. If I say yes, but when I want to say no, I am in this conflict. I'm in this game all over again. No? So what I can say is that it doesn't have to do with my baby or with the other deep down. It's about recognizing my own limit until which point I can.
Yeah, that's something that we don't really learn. That is something we have to practice every single day.
Totally. And with a lot of self-compassion.
Yeah.
Because seeing my baby cry because I say no, oof, I can see my mind, oof, you bad father.
Mm.
Come on, let just a little bit. But in this way, I'm negotiating, and the baby in front doesn't understand. He doesn't know if it's yes or no. I'm telling him yes, but she's receiving a no. Things are not clear, you know. So at some moments, it's about saying no, not to baby, but to the negotiation, to the negotiator inside of me. And this cuts everything at the root.
Really interesting. I'm sorry I interrupted you. That's so interesting. I've never seen it like that.
Exactly.
Mm.
And actually, when I'm saying a no from this place, what comes right after it, it's an authentic yes, because I can connect with something authentic, even if it's ugly or we have the idea that it can hurt. It has to do also a lot with integrity, you know?
Yeah.
If at some point I'm doing it for the other, there will be the fear of disappointing, of rejecting, how is he going to react. And by being in this game, I, at the end, totally repressing myself and taking me away from the possibility of expressing what's happening to me, no matter how it has to come out.
Mm. How would you join these points of being authentic and expressing yourself, but at the same time not trying to achieve any goals and the uncertainty that comes with not trying to achieve it, but just having them?
Claro. Because when we're in a negotiation or when we're into this space with the others, there are some goals also that can be unconsciously or very in a subtle way. The goals of being accepted, the goals for the other to like me, the goals for me to do things in a perfect way, the way a father should do it, or how we should do it. These also are our goals in a way that we're trying to achieve all of the time. So letting place for something authentic cuts out all of the goals because you don't know how it's going to come out. And very surely that it won't fit with the ideas that I can have. Very surely. And the mind, I can assure you, doesn't like it. It's very uncomfortable. Yes. Um, but again, being in these conditions and be allowing ourselves to explore also, and if we're surrounded by people that really trust and that really love us, there's nothing that can make them reject us or not like us anymore. No, they will receive. They will receive.
And how about when you're surrounded by people where you don't feel like you fit in, but it's not that easy to go? Because someone asked it just that, and I
Mm.
was like, interesting. That's a really good question. Like, it's like they feel they don't belong to society, they don't fit in, but they also don't want to leave the society. And what can we say to him then?
For instance, with people that wouldn't be trusting or loving. Yes. Well, I shared something that happened to me yesterday morning uh, when I had received a call from a very angry person that was going to deliver me wood for my next work. Was very angry, very pissed off. And recently I had done a retreat in which there was a beautiful energy of trust, of love. And then I'm confronted to this. I said, oh my God, what's happening? Where is the trust and the love? And this is a beautiful way to see until which point this trust and this love is integrated within me. Because if it depends on the other, maybe it's not truly trust and maybe it's not truly love. Because it's a decision of mine to trust and to love. The other around can be insulting me, can be totally mistrusting me, or even can be leaving. In this moment, I can see whether I trust or not really. And in this moment in which the angry guy called me, I had all of the excuse to enter into the same game and say, you know what, handle it yourself. That's it. No, I'm not going to enter into the same game. And at that moment, I took a deep breath and decided to let him in with all of his activation, with all of in the morning, and the conversation, the interaction totally switched, totally. Because at that moment I didn't want to get stuck in the same activations. No, I said, okay, I'm gonna breathe because I cannot with this and let it enter. And it was really a miracle what happened with this man. His own attitude changed and we could speak, and actually he was a very loving guy. But I could not discover that if because of his mistrust I was mistrusting. Let's say that his mistrust was the perfect occasion for me to trust unconditionally. And at the beginning, it's very important to be, of course, in a context in which this trust maybe that I have lost can be integrated again for it to crystallize deeply until being able to face little by little situations from the reality in which I cannot see trust or love or consciousness anywhere. What do I do? Because I know that this is happening to me. I know that I've connected with this. So to see until which point I'm still depending on what's outside.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But it's I feel it's for some people it's really hard to remember that
Yes.
because some wounds are touched and some things are touched, and then everyone is like, well, you don't trust me, I'm not gonna trust you. Let's just go there and mistrust each other. And it's
Exactly.
like a confirmation I cannot trust you, but it's like, wait a minute. Yeah.
And just the fact of observing that this mistrust activates when the other mistrust, it's a huge step already.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can recognize that it's not mine. If I can see it, the moment in which behalf of what's happening to the other, I'm activating this inside of me, I can see that, okay, something happened, but this is not mine. It's not the other's either. Maybe for him it's happening the same, but it's the first step to be able to recognize this part of me that mistrusts and that wants to mistrust because it's the only thing that it knows and it's the only way it knows how to move in society.
Mm-hmm.
When I mistrust, I can move totally fine in society. I know exactly what to do, how to answer. If he screams at me, I'm gonna scream at him. Perfect. But what we're saying is that there is also another way, maybe deeper, maybe more authentic, maybe more spontaneous,
Mm-hmm.
and very beautiful things can happen if we can connect with it.
Yeah, that's true. Now I'm gonna kind of change the topic a little bit because there are three questions that are kind of related, and it's about the retreats. So I think it's a interesting point because yes, someone asked, I had a psychosis, so I lost the track of reality, and I'm deeply trying to answer the question of what is happening or what happened to me. It seems impossible to answer this question, and this is why I'm asking ayahuasca to give me an answer.
Mhm.
What can we say to him right now?
Yes, that you will find all of the accompaniment from the medicines and also the human support in these spaces for you to see what's happening within you. The medicine collaborate a lot with this introspection. And also, as we were speaking, the fact of connecting with human beings that are real can also collaborate a lot with connecting with this real inside of me. When I don't know what is real anymore, there it can have a powerful impact. Yes, to have this contention. So in these spaces, it's a combination of the medicines and the human part. No, a more introspective, also to have moments in solitude with ourselves, with our process, and moment in which I can share that and be listened to and be understood. And this is what is the integration. It's like a bridge between what's happening inside of me and what's happening all around me. This is why the point is maybe is not to live isolated after having these experiences or disconnecting from reality, but on the contrary, to be reincorporated within the reality, but from a totally different place.
Yeah, that's true. And something I remember Farah once shared is the medicine sometimes is not even the ancestral remedies, but just being around people who accept you and see you as you are and where you are safe.
Exactly. It, this is maybe the most powerful for me, at least it has been for me. People that can look at you without trying to tell you what to do, how to do, without judging. Um, this can be even more powerful than many ayahuasca sessions. No? The medicine, of course, helps a lot also to relaxed, to open up, to connect, sometimes with a feeling that has been deep, deep, deep buried. And then the other, as a very open and loving person, allows you to be able to express this, receives it, you know. So it's a wonderful combination. But what you mentioned, Magda, this look, this is the most powerful because this is something that once it enters into you, it never leaves you and it can accompany you. Once you can remember this totally pure gaze in front of a screaming man or angry man, there's the possibility to connect with this gaze at that moment.
Yeah, that's completely true. That's just healing in another's perspective. And something that someone asked is, I feel something was fixed during the retreat, and I still feel the same. Is that normal?
Come again?
I feel like something was fixed during the retreat, but I still feel the same. It's that normal? Is it normal?
To feel the same as when? As during the retreat or as before? If you
That's the
want to give us more
question.
details, yeah, because it's interesting topic. Many people after a retreat, after a while, can have the feeling or the sensation to feel the same again as they were before, you know? And it's a very important moment to see what has moved, if there's something that moved deeper. Because when we come back from a retreat in which there is this openness, this trust, and we can see that all around us, nothing has changed really, no? Sometimes it's very easy to get into that thought again, into that belief that okay, nothing has changed. I start to react again the same way. I have not changed, but maybe now I can observe it. Maybe now I can realize that I'm reacting, and before I couldn't even see it. The only fact of being able to see it is a huge point because I'm trying to put a little bit of distance to see the moment of the activation. And it's a process again. It's not in a retreat that I will mm, uh, have this massive change that I'm waiting for happen like this. It's again progressive and maybe in very subtle things, little by little.
I don't know if this is related to fear because you don't know how things change really after a retreat. Like, I remember going to the retreat, I'm trusting, okay, I don't know what's gonna happen. And after that, something changed, and it's like, oh, I'm scared, kind of, to see how I change. And
Exactly.
for example, that is kind of related that someone asked here that I'm afraid that I'm gonna lose my job, that if I don't act, if I don't do the things, but I'm not happy in my job, I don't wanna be there. So how can we deal with this kind of not being the same, but being the same? Because my name's still Magda, I still go to this job, I still do this and that, but I don't feel the same.
Exactly.
Mm.
This is why we usually say after a retreat, not to take any decision, to let it settle down, because a lot of things can unravel during a retreat. But to remember that it's this movement or this change that can happen happens inside when it has to happen. It doesn't have to do with changing a job. It doesn't have to do with changing a relationship. Some people after a retreat want to change everything. Okay, I realized that I was living in a lie. I realized that I don't like it. I end up with everything. The real miracle or the real change can happen when I can realize that this lie isn't in my job. This lie isn't in my partner. This life from which I'm living is right here. If I if this is still alive, I can change many jobs, many relationship. It's very probable that this will continue. I was I'm working also as a carpenter for 10 years. When I started this job, I felt that I didn't like it. And then I kept going on 2, 3 years before joining the movement and this organization. And then a year or 2 years ago, I had the opportunity to get into it again. And I realized that it had nothing to do with the job, but because at that moment I cannot really enjoy what was happening in this job, no? To rediscover it totally fresh. So maybe for some people it will be necessary to change partners or to change job. I don't know. But the real change doesn't have to do with something that is outside.
Yeah, that's true. It's always looking in the inside and from the inside changing consciously with time, not hurrying into changing everything right now.
Claro. And most of the time it happens in a natural way. Now it's like getting into a point in which no, that's it. Not from rejection, not from wanting to force or to like a feeling of hurry. No, that's it. Now I can move on. Thank you very much for everything that you've brought me until here, but that's it.
I would love you to read the next question. Like it's a whole paragraph. It's really beautiful. And it has to do a little bit with everything that we have just talked about.
I have experienced a shift in my reality. I have been lost in spirituality to some degree. My mind is driving the world in a high place. I hear your words from that place of presence that I deeply seek and touch. As you said, I wish to make that space bigger and bigger. I feel my search is this space of stillness and feeling distrust in the presence moment. I am thankful for your words, your space. I would love to interact in this space beyond words. Do you think the plant medicine is mandatory for this checkmate for the mind? Thank you very much. From who is this question?
It is from Benjamin.
Thank you very much, Benjamin, for your question. The plant medicine are not mandatory at all to have this experience beyond words. We even at some occasions organize events in which we don't use plant medicine because we have realized that there are other ways of creating the conditions for that encounter to happen. Words are one of them. Dynamics, a moment in which we will organize a meal, in which we will be able to exchange looks, a smile, a hug in a total spontaneous way and in a very real way. These moments have a tremendous impact. It can be 1 second, 1 minute, but if this happens again, it's like remembering. And once I remember where I came from, nothing can stop this expansion. Sooner or later, this is something that will become my life. Yes. So it's true that the presential encounters facilitate a lot more. I cannot see you guys in this moment. I would love to, but I cannot see you guys. And this is part also of these encounters that we create to be able to be able to meet face to face, because it's true that without even a single word, we can really connect, have this encounter, to feel without having the intention to do nothing with the others or wanting to or feeling that we're more or less. No, it's a human encounter in which we don't have nothing to prove, nothing to show. No. And this is beautiful to be in such spaces.
Yes, it is. It is really healing. And I have been to a couple of retreats more where people don't take medicines, they just want to be in the space.
Exactly. Exactly. And this is what we call presence, no?
Mm.
Why take ayahuasca? If I'm already enjoying, if I'm already receiving from the other people, listening,
Mm.
why take more? No, there sometimes there gets to a point in which exactly we don't have this need anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you, Anthony, for this wonderful class, this wonderful chat. It was beautiful.
Gracias.
I don't know if someone else wants to, like we have a couple of questions, but more they're repeating itself, so it's nothing like something we didn't answer already. And I feel the class was beautiful because it started from one point and then it drifted away like water, it just goes to one point another. And at the same time, everything was connected. It was not something that was like completely out of the bloom. So it was really beautiful. It was really inspiring. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. Thank you for sharing everything you just shared and making it so real also. Not really their up in the spiritual realm or really flowy, but really here bring it to the earth and to the being. I really, really love that. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Magda. And thank you, everybody, for being here, for joining tonight. And we're available. Maybe we can share my number if people want to contact.
Mhm.
It would be a great pleasure to share with you guys.
For sure. Like I would love to have the chat and send you a
Me
couple of
too.
things, but I do not know. But then we're gonna write in the WhatsApp group because you attended to this wonderful masterclass. We're gonna send you a form so you can fill it out, give us some feedback. How did you like the class? What would you like to hear from us? And then you get a 5% discount for our retreats. Like Anthony was sharing and I was sharing, that's what we really do, these encounters with people, not only online but in presence. And they're just magical beyond words. It's like finding family in a new place. Yeah. I'm gonna also share our homepage so you can read anything you want and just to stay active in the WhatsApp community because that's where we're sharing every single link and we're sharing the masterclass maybe tomorrow or on Thursday so you can watch it again if you want. Yes. You wanna to say something before we leave?
I'm really looking forward to see you guys in presence, whether it is in Belgium or anywhere. It would be a pleasure. And to
Yes,
see again those I've already met.
for sure. So I
Thank you
send
very
you
much.
all the love, every one of you. Have a beautiful, beautiful evening, Anthony. Thank you so, so much.
Gracias,
It was a
Magda.
pleasure being here with you. And thank you guys for being here. This would not be possible without all of you here. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.